Okay, in this video, I want to discuss some things you need to keep in mind when you write a theme. One is, you're writing a theme on a very basic level, and I'm as a teacher, I'm just trying to give you the notion and to check that you have a handle on that, the very basic notion. So, our work is going to be short. I may ask you to write a short theme, or I may even settle for the proposal. And the idea would be, if you can write the proposal correctly, the theme is basically the proposal fleshed out. So I can see the structure in terms of its architect or its anatomy in the skeleton, and I can say, yes, it's going to hold up, it's going to be fine. And so, I might just ask for the proposal. And it's in its distilled form. I think the notion of how to write a literary theme is fairly clear cut, and I tried to illustrate that in the past videos. But something to keep in mind is that as you progress in this, moving from student to professional, if indeed you ever walk down that path with this, it gets more and more complicated, and there are more techniques to bring into this, and the length may vary drastically. So just remember that you're learning the distilled rudimentary form of this, and it would be a good idea, if you ever are in a situation where someone is expecting you to write a literary theme about something, to make sure that that person, whether it's an editor or an evaluator like a teacher or anything like that, to make sure you're on the same page with him or her in terms of what is being expected. And you should just simply ask, listen, as far as evidence goes for my thesis that I'm going to write in the literary theme, is it okay if I stick strictly with intratextual data? Intratextual means data and evidence that you pull straight from the text and nowhere else. So you really are staying between the two covers of the text, or the beginning and end of that poem, or the song, or whatever that you're analyzing. So that's intratextual evidence. And then, perhaps the teacher is expecting some extra textual evidence. And so you need to make it clear. Are you expecting that, or can I stick strictly within the covers? If the teacher is expecting extra textual, then you probably are going to have to situate it in the history, in its time period. You'll have to use some outside facts and information to help make a point that you're making about the text. So, but that would be extra textual because it's extra, it's outside the text. For our work here, I'm going to insist that we stay intratextual, because that's a skill in itself. Being able to make your point and make your observation stick using only the words that are given to you in the text. So you're not doing any outside research for the literary theme or the proposal that I may ask you to write. Now, I will say that in recent years, at the turn of the millennium, 2000, and I expect it to go on till maybe 2040 or something like that. And it's been certainly prevalent in the past, but I expect it to it's having its heyday. It's still very much assumed that for professionally, they in fact expect extra textual material. So once you begin moving into the realm of writing it at a very high level, the literary theme begins to take on the feel of academic research, in the sense that we now ask for extra textual material in terms of what other people are saying about this, what's your contribution on this idea of this work or whatnot. We usually don't run too many experiments on it, because what kind of experiments are you going to run on Chaucer's Book of the Duchess, or Rasselas's, or Samuel Johnson's Rasselas? But the more professional you go in literary writing, the more it takes on the feel of academic writing. However, it's not a lost art by any means, and it still is highly appreciated if you do provide a literary theme that is strictly intratextual in its evidence and very well done. It's like a puzzle. People appreciate the fact that you can put together a puzzle and solve a riddle, or show how a literary artifact, a poem, a book, or what is arranged, or if you can shed new insight into its structure or into people really do appreciate that. The people that deal with that sort of material as a career. So you know, I know that learning how to do that, and what I mean is having a time where you focus on, I got to make a point of this thing, I've got to analyze it, and I'm not going to use any other data or evidence but that which comes from the book, only that. That's a skill in itself, and it allows you to eliminate distracting voices, not necessarily distracting, but other voices, and to focus like a laser on this one thing. And to now, last is I want you to remind you, I'm not requiring this from you in this class, but when you actually are trying to do this at a semi-professional level or at a professional level, you have to be willing to read that thing over and over and over again. So, you know, I have published on no, actually, I haven't. Not on Book of the Duchess, but the work that I published on. Hang on. Well, yes, I did. I did have a chapter on Book of the Duchess. Okay. I've read the Book of the Duchess maybe 10 times. I'm just over again. At times I was kind of sick of it, but you know what? Every time was profitable. And it wasn't until multiple readings that I began to notice something in the structure that helped me make an argument that was actually professional grade. So you got to be willing to invest the time with that and go over and over. And you cannot be willing to say, oh, I read it once, I understand it. I know because of the time that's involved in our class, I'm not necessarily, you know, making it a requirement, this multiple reading thing, but I would highly recommend it. Highly recommend it if you are actually to work on it at a professional level. So just some things to keep in mind concerning this notion of a literary theme.